Nice, cloudy, beautiful day. So I was thinking about something real quick. I'm out here on this early rising walk. So I was listening back on one of my lives I did like a few months ago when all the power in my house blew out. Well, not all the power, about half my house, the outlets blew out. And I had to figure out what was going on. It was like a Saturday evening or some shit like that. So I had to figure out what was going on and get that handled for, my little ones and my lady especially. But also the part of the house that like my office and workspace were at, it was affected. The part where my kitchen was at was affected. So like there's a lot of critical shit. Obviously air conditioning, a lot of critical shit was affected at the time. And I'm thinking about this and I'm like, man, like if I didn't figure that shit out right when I did, like just putting everything else to the side and just figuring that out, my family could have fucking starved. Not literally, but you know what I mean. It would have had a real effect on their well-being and health. And it got me to thinking about how important it is for a man to take responsibility and accountability when things go wrong, even if it's not necessarily his fault, right? It's super important, especially within like, a closed unit, a family unit, or a relationship or whatever, a business. It's super important for the man that has some say in what's going on to take responsibility and accountability. And, it's kind of designed and set up this way by default because our job as we're here is to make things easier for the woman to stay in her divine self, to stay in her divine feminine, and be able to do the things that she's here to do. And for the children to be able to flourish and grow, right? That's the whole reason, really, essentially the whole reason a man is within a family unit or within, any kind of closed system, relationship, whatever you call it. It's the whole reason a man exists, honestly. And, aside from the fact of bettering himself, building things, all that kind of stuff, you can't do none of that without a man taking accountability and responsibility when it's necessary, right? So, I'm not gonna go full-blown Andrew Tate on y'all, but I'm not gonna lie, certain things that dude had been saying over the last several years that made quite a bit of sense, and it's things that people don't really want to look at and realize. Okay, let's say for instance, like in that situation I was just talking about where my power in half my house was blown out. And, the fridge isn't able to keep power. I'm not able to get into my office and, utilize my computer and all my equipment to work. You know, and AC's not working. Now, if I was just like a bitch nigga and I was like, nah, I don't feel like doing that right now. I'm just gonna work off my phone. I'll go plug in my phone at the fucking gas station or something. And it is what it is. Fuck my family. Things would be good. It would be a good situation. It wouldn't be a good situation for my lady. It wouldn't be a good situation for my children. It wouldn't be a good situation for me, because that would be me not doing my job, which is being responsible for their security and well-being. Back in, I want to say 2021, 2022, I had a podcast, and there are episodes on here. What's up, I'm saying? The episodes on here, I had a podcast called Grown Man Talk, GMT podcast. I did about 4 or 5 episodes. Actually, I think there's a couple extras too that I did, because there was a time where I interviewed Sophia Stewart, but there was some technical problems with that prevented that one from airing. But a lot of them, it was just me riffing on certain topics. I was talking about, what my observations on the music industry, talking about my observations on just all sorts of different stuff, sciences, etc. I'm seriously considering bringing that particular podcast back because I think it's something that's needed. I think, I don't know, I may have a certain perspective that a lot of dudes don't really have. And it's kind of the reason why a lot of things go awry, because there's not enough men actually taking the reins and stepping forward to actually do what they're supposed to do. Now, it's not to say like women can't be leaders, because obviously in situations where things are optimized to where women are, are able to elect themselves to those positions and do the things they're intended to do. Oftentimes, women make better leaders than men. Oftentimes, in certain scenarios, there's certain things that women can do with leadership that men can't do. So I'm not saying anything like that. So again, don't matrix attack me. I'm not Andrew Tate. But what I'm saying is, practically, and let's say in the day-to-day, in the modern world, a lot more men need to really step up and do things that they're supposed to do. We really need to be responsible for what's going on with us and what's going on in our environment and the people who may rely on us. And there's some of us out here to do. Shout out to y'all. And I'm not saying this as like a perfect being yet. To say that like I'm the most manly man of all times. None of that shit. But I'm just saying it's something that warrants attention. Because there's a lot of, let's call it what it is, there's a lot of dudes out here that are just fucking off all drugs. There's a lot of dudes out here that are just lazy playing video games. There's a lot of dudes out here that are fucking jerking off all damn day and night, not getting anything done. And it's not the way to be. Because chances are, if you're capable of anything, if you have hands and feet and a brain, chances are there's something that you can help with, there's something that you can build that can be helpful to others. There's something that you can help maintain that can be helpful to others. There's something that you can help protect that can be helpful to others. How you doing? And I don't think a lot of men really think about their impact of their actions on the world. Maybe it's because they haven't seen it, or they haven't allowed themselves the opportunity to see it. John says, "Amen, I believe it. Volunteer at a bird company, clean cages out." Yeah, man. If that's what you feel like you want to do, that's absolutely fine. Just do something, right? Just do something to help someone else out. Some of us are built a little bit different. There's some guys who, maybe they're really big and, they're strong. They have a, large body mass, and maybe they're suited for security. Okay, go secure something. There's some guys who may be more, cerebral, and they may be thinkers, and, maybe they're more suited for cybersecurity. Okay, go secure some systems that could be helpful to someone. It doesn't necessarily always even have to be like a large corporation or something like that either. Oftentimes there's like smaller projects that people are trying to, like just regular everyday people are trying to upstart, and they don't have the know-how on that. Y'all saw how that with that T app, right? Like when that T app dropped in, I think the first 2 weeks, they got like 14 million women to sign up and talk shit about how not shit all the men they were with were and all that kind of stuff. It went viral for a little while. I think this is like a few months ago. And then because they didn't have any back-end infrastructure and they didn't have any security systems and all that kind of stuff, all 14 million of those women's driver's licenses were leaked by somebody who just knew how to poke around and find where the shit it was. That's a man's fault. There's a man who created the app, vibe coded that shit, and didn't do any kind of back-end security protocols. He didn't secure the database, any of that kind of shit. Basically just left the back door wide open and let all those women's information get exposed. Like, that's a man's fault. He fucked up, right? And mind you, it blew up so much that really probably only just gave him more publicity. But I just say this to say, if men aren't on their P's and Q's, regardless of what the realm or the arena is, it becomes paramount, and then you have issues like these to where the people that you're responsible for get exposed, or they get put in precarious positions, etc. So, first, if you're here, you're listening, go ahead and subscribe. I am seriously considering bringing back my Grown Man Talk podcast, because a lot of things have changed since my last episode. Go back and watch the first, I think, like 3 or 4 episodes on my channel. You'll probably see that your favorite podcaster or influencer or, whoever probably ripped my shit and went off and talked about it. Just check the timestamps. There's certain things I was talking about well before anybody else really out here was talking about it long form, from certain things with music industry contracts, breaking it down, showing sources, all that kind of stuff, energy harvesting, all these kind of things. There's certain things that I researched and dug into and brought forth when I didn't really have an audience. I really still don't have a massive audience, mind you, but I would see certain podcasts and groups and individuals that had larger audiences bringing forward the same story. It's all good anyway. It's not mine regardless. It's for the people. But go ahead and check that out. Subscribe. I have a music video that's coming soon for the song Round Robin. Mileage album and movie will be coming soon, and Soul Rising album is out now in stores. You can stream it on my channel. You can stream it on any streaming platform. SamuraiBlackMusic.com. Link in the description. Go grab yourself some merch. Grab a hoodie. Grab a t-shirt. We got vinyls. We got steel paintings. All that kind of stuff. Got some new stuff that's coming soon. But anyway, thanks for tuning in. If you're a man, take some time today to be a man and figure out what that really means, and figure out how you can be more accountable and more responsible, because there's very few of us out here that actually are and do. And yeah, that's it. Peace.